Today's video serves two purposes. One is to explain and get the people that just don't seem to get it to understand why Titanfall 3 is probably never coming. The other purpose of the video is to tell you what is coming in the Titanfall universe. We've talked about this before, but after the last video, there was a huge debate and people on both sides trying to explain why Titanfall 3 could still be a thing. Welcome to Video Game Leaks, everybody. That's what we cover here, and we compile all the information on the biggest and latest leaks out there in the gaming industry, and then we present them to you to be judged. That sounded really, really serious. Anyway, make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you have those notifications fully turned on, and let's get into this. This is not going to be a happy video for some people. Now, Apex Legends, huge success for Respawn. It shot them into the stratosphere multiplayer games following two financially unsuccessful Titanfall releases. Now, Apex and Titanfall take place in the same universe, but it's no secret that Apex has risen to heights much greater than Titanfall ever did, and it's put the franchise's future into question. Now, Respawn has suggested many times they would love to do a third Titanfall game, with some insiders even claiming the game has started development. The most recent news we've gotten, though, suggests something entirely else. About a week ago, we talked about a recent job listing at Respawn that suggested they were working on a single-player game set in the Apex universe. Now, some took this as confirmation of a single-player Apex spinoff. Some took it as confirmation that Titanfall 3 was entering active development. I mean, after all, a single-player FPS in the Apex universe could pretty easily be the third Titanfall game, especially after Titanfall 2 was praised for the single-player campaign. However, we just got some additional info that sheds some light on what Respawn's plan are, and if you were hoping for Titanfall 3, I need you to lower your expectations. So let's start with the insider reports that are suggesting that a new single-player Apex game truly is just that, a single-player campaign expansion for Apex Legends. Now, how the game will be distributed is unclear. I mean, some believe it will be a paid add-on for the existing Apex Legends client. Others think it will be released as a standalone title. However, what I'm not hearing anything about is Titanfall 3. So reanalyzing the job posting does make it pretty hard to believe a third Titanfall game is coming, as it's mentioned Apex explicitly and also only made mention of a single-player FPS experience. Titanfall was built around the single player and the multiplayer, so if Respawn was hiring extra hands for Titanfall 3, don't you think they would have mentioned something about multiplayer in the listing? The fact that Respawn is apparently hiring for an exclusively single-player game in the Apex universe makes it more and more difficult to believe that they actually are or were ever working on Titanfall 3. Why would Titanfall 3 be single-player only? A single-player Apex game is far more likely than a campaign-only Titanfall game right now, especially when you consider how integral the multiplayer was to Titanfall 1 and 2. So when you factor in that with the insider reports of an Apex single-player game, you guys can see which way I'm leaning here, and it's not hard to see why. Now, I've seen people arguing about this. They're arguing because the job listing referenced the Apex universe instead of the Titanfall universe, that Respawn is never actually going to make Titanfall 3, but I don't know if I believe it. Now, obviously, the studio needs to keep working on what's working, and since Apex is way bigger than Titanfall ever was, they're going to need to keep the focus on that. And I don't want this to be perceived as a hate fest on Titanfall. 1 and 2 were failures, but they weren't failures in the sense of the actual games. They were failures in the sense of the timing when they were launched. They were sandwiched in between Call of Duty and Battlefield when both of those FPS juggernauts were vying for the king of the hill back then. It was just not the right time. It was really sad, to be honest with you, because they're really great games. Titanfall 2's campaign, I've been playing it recently, is absolutely amazing and holds up to this day. So this is not a hate fest at all. I personally would love to see Titanfall 3. I was at the very first early capture event of Titanfall in a tent in LA. It was awesome. When we first dropped in Titans, it was pretty crazy. So I'm a fan. I'm a huge fan. Now let's keep going. They're going to need to keep focusing on Apex because it's working. Plus, on top of their own IP, Respawn is currently working on the sequel to Jedi Fallen Order, as well as a brand new FPS set in the Star Wars universe. They have their plates full. Respawn's super busy, and they're likely not in any situation to allocate resources to a third Titanfall game instead of another Apex or a Star Wars title. Now, personally, I think the Apex single-player game in development is some kind of campaign expansion for the base Apex Legends. Maybe they'll release it as a paid expansion, or maybe it will be free to play. But I think the next step with Apex Legends popularity is to expand the player base in a natural way. And the best way to do that, add some single player content. That way, the existing player base will get some additional story and gameplay. And don't get me wrong, they've done really good with the storylines and everything with Apex Legends and multiplayer. I mean, it's ripe and rich and ready for an actual campaign. And the gameplay may bring in brand new players. They may be enticed to download Apex to try a campaign, and then maybe perhaps they give the Battle Royale a try while they have the game downloaded. Again, nothing is confirmed right now, but I have a hunch that we're right on this one. I think you guys come back and revisit this video in a decent amount of time. We get a lot right, we get a lot wrong, but I think we're going to be right on this one. I truly, truly do. Maybe we'll get a Titanfall 3. Maybe once Respawn's workload lightens a bit more, but don't expect that game to come in the near future. And honestly, saying Respawn's workload is going to lighten, that's probably not going to happen either. 2 Star Wars games, Apex, they are busy, unfortunately. Well, kind of. I mean, Star Wars and Apex are the studio's focus, and we do have evidence that a single-player game in the Apex universe is in development. Notice they didn't say a single-player game in the Titanfall universe, but we have absolutely zero evidence that this mystery game, whatever it may be, is Titanfall 3. In fact, we have a bit of evidence to the contrary. I'm sorry, guys. I know this is going to upset people. I follow a couple people that still cover and do and create Titanfall content, and they're amazing. And I see that community, and that community deserves Titanfall 3. They do. For all that they've been through with Titanfall 1 and 2, the launch windows, it's really a sad story. And you know Respawn knows that, and you know they hold Titanfall dear to their heart, because if it wasn't for Titanfall, there would be no Apex Legends. So I guarantee you the developers and even the founders of Respawn really, really want to do it. But then again, it's a business, and the business is to make money and to get people playing your games. And after seeing what happened with 1 and 2 and already knowing that Apex is where it's at, why would they cannibalize Apex and bring a Titanfall 3? I don't know. I don't see it happening. I truly, truly don't. So that's it. We'll keep you guys posted if anything new comes, but our prediction is you will get some kind of addition to the Apex Legends client in the form of a single player campaign. Whether or not it'll cost money, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. It's going to be hard sell. Probably should be free to play, and they just entice campaign dwellers to come in and then maybe try Battle Royale. I think that would be the best bet. I'll keep you guys posted, and I'll see you soon.